altında. We are live with our Berlinale Talents program director and producer, Sinem Altında. Today we're going to discuss how to discover local talents and how to train them, search for them. And Florian will give us lots of insights. And as participant to many talent programs, Sinem will be guiding the talk. And I'm also going to announce something in Turkish. Türkçe olarak panelimizi dinlemek isteyenler dil seçeneğini Türkçe'ye çevirerek çevirmenlerimizi duyabilirler. And at the end, I will be forwarding the questions that are asked through Zoom. Zoom üzerinden aynı zamanda katılan kişiler de sorularını kutuya yazabilirler. Ben sorularınızı iletiyor olacağım sonunda. So I'm leaving you guys. And thank you for being here again, and thank you for sharing your insights and all this experience with us in Bosphorus Film Lab.
Thank you.
So hi everyone, and Florian, hi. It's a privilege to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us. So let me start with my questions. Berlinale Talents is one of a kind platform that it's not only about workshops, talks, and networking, but it's a very special environment for filmmakers, professionals with its vision and philosophy. Could you please tell us about how this philosophy arises and where and how it's evolving?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I would say by speaking with you and also, of course, speaking with a bigger audience today, we already understood quite well what Berlinale Talents is about, because it is definitely not only a 6 days event during the festival. We sometimes say this is only the beginning of a long relationship. Some people even say it's a family. So we will come back to that. We will come back to that family term, because I think it works honestly quite well for what we try to reach and achieve. But the fact, for example, that you and we kept in touch over many, many years, and we've seen again each other in different occasions and even locations of the Berlinale Talents Network, that's very, very much describing what it is about. In practical terms, Berlinale Talents is a 6 days event during the Festival of Berlin, always in February, always when it's very cold, and it brings 250 people from all over the world, from 80 different countries to the city. And we are saying this, of course, under the knowledge of a changed world, under the situation we are here now. Also, Berlinale Talents will have to change, or has changed already over the course of this year of pandemic. But I think when we speak today about it, we try to reach that core, that DNA, that idea. And even if we go more online, or if we have less people here in Berlin for 1 year, this won't change. So the core idea is to make people meet out of reasons. So not necessarily only to shake and exchange business cards, but to understand that we are in one thing, which is the film world, together, and that it makes sense to collaboratively work together to achieve cinema and films, but also I would say to change a little bit the world.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's more than something collaborating, I guess. Yes, you were right. I also felt like I'm a part of a great family, and when I've done both talents, I was empowered practically, mentally, and emotionally, and yeah, it boosts my motivation actually. Thank you very much for that. And application process. During the application process, there are plenty of unique questions that directly addresses the applicant's creativity, professionalism, and willingness to take risks, and etc. In other words, the process is very well elaborated to scan a talent. At this point, I would like to ask you the term talent. Who is a talent for the platform?
Mm-hmm. That's probably the most complicated question. But I think it's worth to elaborate a little bit on that. So because on the one thing, if you ask, okay, what is a talent? There's this broad question. Okay, what is talent in general? I will tell you in a minute. But first of all, what is a talent for us? Which is we don't go for the very, very youngest filmmakers. When the Talents was founded almost 20 years ago, it was called Talent Campus. And in that days, with a campus idea, oriented more towards students in university. It was a true program for beginners. It was a door opener for those who wanted to discover the world of film, but also the way how to build up their own communities, see Berlin, meet famous people, and so on. So wonderful for the very beginning. At some point, and after a while, we realized that on the one side, here in Berlin, with its film market, with all the professionals coming to the city, and on the second side, for the people who are applying, it's better if they don't come in the very beginning. So if they come with already their own knowledge, with something to share, and with some more, let's say, I don't want to judge it, but more serious questions in life. So because if you have been already 5 to 10 years in the business, whatever your business is, it's the art world or the way how you work, so I don't value that, but you've in a way survived, let's say, 10 years of that artistic world you're navigating through, then it becomes, again, it can become very complicated because you have achieved a lot of knowledge, you already have a position, you've made some films, no one is really calling you again and asking how you're doing. So probably your mom or your father every now and then ask you, why don't you get a real job or something like this? And some other questions come up. So some questions like, okay, how do I make money with what I'm doing? I probably have a family now. The question is, my passion has to become a job in some way, or you want to expand your network. You think, okay, this can't be enough. This is my experience is made in the country, wonderful, but how can I reach the next level? And those kind of, let's say, end of the beginning questions, I don't say beginning of the end questions, but those ones are the ones we are dealing with. And so the average age of the participants at Berlinale Talents is around 33, 34, something like this. Of course, it's an average age. We don't look at the age. There's also people who are 28 or older than 34, but that's normally this time where it's perfect to come to Berlin. And where you also know and have realized that you have a value for someone else. So that you can help to move a project forward. And not only someone else has a value for doing, not only she is helping me to produce my film or to give me money or to support me with my script, I also have something to share. And we search for those kind of people because we have 250 of them. And we are not a service agency for 250 individuals. So we try to create something like a collaborative space where everyone helps each other. And at this age, at this point, there's a lot of interest by many of the participants to do that. And so from the very beginning, this is something, and I tell that in this greater length because it also makes a difference when you apply. So when you write about what you are, what you have achieved, what you want to achieve, of course, you are already a talent. So you don't become one by being in Berlin. We want to find out what kind of talent you are. And selection criteria, more in particular. So with people coming in from 130 different countries and millions of cultures and other professional backgrounds, it's of course impossible to say, okay, you need to have attended at least 2 film schools or something like this. So we don't care about these kind of hard facts. The only hard fact that is there is, so you should have made at least 2 short films or a feature-length film. And these films or a series, and these films or series should have traveled over festivals or cinemas or online. And once again, it's not to say, okay, you're only a good person or a good filmmaker when you've been at festivals, but it's about your experience. So because we think, okay, someone who has made and been already at festivals has some kind of capacity to reflect his or her work. Sinem, you're now frozen in my window at least. Ah, you're back. No. Are you back?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And so this is about hard selection criteria, soft selection criteria, and this is what comes back to your question: what is talent in the end? Talent is for us if you created already a resonance with your work, and this resonance can be the way how you work in your local team, how you build up your team, how you work with your crew, so that kind of vibrations you created with your ideas. Or of course the resonance you created with reaching out to an audience or to festivals or even broader to the international film market. But this resonance is very important to us because it is different from South Africa to Turkey. But in the end, it shows us, okay, you are creating some interaction. You are a collaborative person. You want to talk and create a dialogue through your work. And that's one thing you need to have for Berlin. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So we are not a school. So we are in a point of exchange.
Yeah, thank you for this very wide and detailed explanation, because if you don't know about Berlinale Talents, one might think that it's very for the students. No, it's for the professionals. And they have to have 2 shorts or 1 feature film to apply, or for other professionals other than directors, screenwriters, or producers. There are other criteria. Please check on the website.
Yeah.
As I've experienced during Sarajevo Talents and Berlinale Talents, I see that the platform is very well aware of the attendees' needs and challenges. Mm-hmm. And everything is perfectly being shaped accordingly. For example, during Sarajevo Talents, I was shadowing a very well experienced producer. Mm-hmm. She has this project, and she was pitching it, and I was attending every meeting, and that experience showed me how to approach potential partners, how to pitch my project. It was really useful, and it was a unique event for me to quickly be ready for the pitching for my recent project. Actually, thank you very much for that. It was really, really great experience. During Berlinale Talents, we were at the Talents Project Market. We were pitching our project, and we were too busy, and we could not party. But there was this dinner. I don't know. It was more than 500 people, young filmmakers, very well-known filmmakers from all around the world. It was a great hall, and that night I really felt that, I'm really in it. So it really drove me emotionally, and my motivation was really high. And how come you are achieving such a great result? And what kind of opportunities are awaiting the attendees?
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing these details. I think the Dine and Shine dinner that you mentioned it's in fact also to me, and also after many years, it's quite a magic place. So because it is like you described, a dinner for 450 people in one room. You change courses after each. You change seats after each course. You get to know people, and probably the alcohol is the reason, I don't know, but or the good food, but I assume it's something more. So because I think what you describe and it has something to do because everyone at Berlinale Talents, at least that's what we try, meets on equal footing. So meaning, so if there's someone famous or someone more experienced, we nevertheless tell him or her at Berlinale Talents, imagine it's a meeting among colleagues. So it's not a school or something where you have to teach and preach and let them know how cool you are or something like this. It's a meeting where you can also learn something from them. So it's a good opportunity, and not even we don't even say, okay, you learn something from the young generation or something like this. So because age is not the real criteria. Of course, experience is different if you have been in the business for 30 years or for 10 years. But it doesn't give a hierarchy necessarily. Sometimes the younger participant knows much more about what the film industry should be about or is about than the older one. So, but we tell them, okay, let's meet like colleagues in a very nice surrounding. And this goes for the Dine and Shine dinner, but it also goes for a conversation with, let's say, Helen Mirren or someone in a huge theater. So we tell her, okay, the topic is not Helen Mirren of your talk, so you don't have to speak so much about yourself. Please, let's work out some things you'd like to speak about that are relevant to yourself, and please also find out what is relevant to the audience. So that there is a true dialogue. And I think this makes a little bit of a difference to other panel situations where people really sometimes feel less empowered after the talk because they think, okay, I will never reach that famous person, or I will never reach what she has achieved. So that's not the goal. And format-wise, the whole week is every minute is different. So of course there is this huge conversations where it's more about also the fun and the entertainment, and there's Kate Blanchett, and it's all cool to sit with them and have hear or listen or contribute to a conversation. But the majority of the events is like little rounds, 10 people, conversation driven, very interactive, very specific, super nerdy sometimes. So, and there's always parallel to the, let's say, thing with Gus Van Sant and so on. There's always something about the spotting of subtitles or so parallel, because you have to choose in between the events yourself.
It's so straightforward, by the way. Yeah.
Then there's always people going to the nerdy stuff. Yeah. So because that's what is interesting for them in the moment. So without spotting of subtitles, no good film.
So every year, 250 emerging filmmakers from all over the world visit Berlin. So it's a very diverse community, and it's an extraordinary experience to be part of this richness. And I met a guy at the Shine and Dine dinner, and now I can't remember where he comes from. Really, yeah, it's so diverse, and this diversity is very crucial for Berlinale. Could you please tell us about how this diversity moved the platform and how it affects the attendees' working methods, maybe the quality in their craft?
Yeah, first of all, I think one thing that is that makes Berlinale talent specific is that, like you said in the beginning, that we invite film professionals from 13 different fields of work. So it's not only the directors or the producers, it's also the actors, it's the production designers, editors, and so on. So the feeling that you have when you attend Berlinale Talents, let's say as a director, for example, is like on your production table. So you have all these different perspectives, and the entire program is also structured like this. So there is a lot going on about storytelling and script development or something like this, or the importance and the content of the topics in films. But there's also a lot about cinematography or production design or Foley or something like this. And we don't recommend the particular participants or talents to only go to what is their field of work. So the idea of changing your perspective and finding out that it is valuable to see the world from the perspective, let's say, of a cinematographer for a moment, helps to understand how the collaborative process of filmmaking actually works. So it helps to change your perspective. It helps to broaden your understanding of film by making you, let's say, move around the table and see it and look at the world from the other side. And we hope, of course, that this idea of collaboration, this idea of equalizing the hierarchies in between those who are normally the ones who are always in attention, directors and actors, to a more broader and more equal understanding of, okay, it's a team or a crew of different leaders who all contribute to the idea of film. This is something that hopefully has also been taken home by the talents to their own worlds or even to their own productions in future. And it, as a consequence, that is also one of the reasons I think why so many collaborations emerge from the world of talents, because you can be sure or assured that at some point during this week, you will sit next to this production designer from Chile or from Guatemala or from Turkey or somewhere, and she will be exactly the person you've always been searching for. So she knows the solution to your problem. She knows how you feel, and she's also super cool and nice to meet. And then there's this connection created. Coincidentally, but somehow structured. So we structure a lot coincidences so that people can stay in touch and probably don't even work together like right away because it's far away from Ecuador to Turkey. But also this is often the case. So we see a lot of alumni productions evolving from the event, and then people keep in touch. And the community nowadays, so the talent community it's around 8,500 people from around the world. Not all of them super active, like around the day, but everyone knows, okay, I'm part of that family. And if someone writes me, I will say, oh yeah, I've also been at Talents in 2006 or so. And that's a good good starting point for a conversation.
Yeah. Actually, these were my questions, and maybe we can go on with our listeners' questions.
Yeah, good idea. How does it work? Do we get the questions somewhere? Do they magically appear somewhere?
Okay, questions?
Otherwise, what I would like to, or what I could probably add to the conversation, there's in a way there's, and you know that from your own experience. So Berlinale Talents consists of two worlds. So the one is the summit, and it's kind of the stadium where you broaden your networks, where it's a lot of distraction in a way. So you open your minds. And then there's another world within the same event where it's about concentration. And this is the labs. So because we have the script station or the talent project market or the doc station and the short form station, and out of the 250 talents, 40 come to Berlin to work on their script. So they actually have mentorship, individual mentorship over the course of these 6 days. to be able to focus on their particular work, move that script towards the next level, and also present that script to a broader audience. And probably you can also share a little bit about your experience in that respect.
Yeah, I done the summit in Sarajevo, and in Berlinale I was at the Talents Project Market. We were 11 projects around the world, and we were a part of Berlinale co-production market. It was really busy and effective 4 days. We met so many producers, and it was really good to have the meetings, the opportunity to pitch your project to very well selected producers. From there, now I'm working on the same project still, and from there we had relations, we have potential partners, and yeah, it gave a lot to the project actually.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned script stations and summit, but it's not only the only events of the Talents actually. Talents is a year-round program. There are fellowships and 7 international offshoots, like I did Sarajevo Talents. So for our listeners, other than applying for Berlinale Talents on February, what do you recommend?
Yeah, good point. So because on the one side, of course, you will stay part of that family forever, and that's all fine. So, but every now and then a family wants to meet. And of course, we want to invite new and more family members. And one way to do it is to apply for one of the international talents initiatives. And here it depends on where you come from. So in Berlin, everyone can apply for it. In Sarajevo, for example, it's Southeast European talents, Turkish talents.
Yes. So from Turkey, you can apply for Sarajevo Talents and Berlinale Talents.
Exactly. Yeah, you can apply for both, and it's not an obligation to do the one first and the other. Some only do Sarajevo and never come to Berlin, and so on. So it's totally independent processes, but of course there is this opportunity to do both. And very often it happens that people over the course of some years come to join us in both places. And the events are also very different. So because the idea of the regional initiatives is to cater the local needs. So if you think about talents in Beirut in the Lebanon, it's a totally different world. So it's a quite small, comparably small event, and it's focusing only on cinematographers, editors, and sound designers. So there's no directors, no producers, no one. It's just these 3 fields of work. And it's a wonderful, no, I wouldn't even say tech-driven, but a very different approach to the film world, because these 3 fields of work, they never meet. So an editor and a cinematographer normally rarely meets in a film production. So because they are quite on the other ends of the production side. But here they sit together, and then they actually find out, there's a bit of a connection we have. And we thought, okay, that is interesting for the filmmakers from the Arab world to have a possibility to further focus on these fields of work. In Rio, it's only film critiques. In Guadalajara, it's quite a lot of different fields of work. So it's all over the world. It's a bit different, so you can use that to further deepen your knowledge about your own region. Also, of course, spread out and see who else is there. It's a good way to make your networks better. And if you've done it, you can also come to Berlin afterwards. So, and one thing I'd like to add, because you mentioned it, there's also the fellowship programs. and I don't want to advertise those fellowship programs too loudly. So because you can read it on the website, it's all under the umbrella of what we call Talents Footprints. Mm-hmm. But I think it's worth to mention that that we are changing in the moment towards a bit of a wider understanding of what filmmaking can be or can achieve. And we realized by reading the applications in the last years that there has been some kind of, let's say, holes in the filmography, so gaps. So there was a film here, 2016, and then someone had another film in 2019 or something like this. And you could say, okay, it probably took a while to finish the next film. That's okay. But then when you were reading between the lines of the biography, you were seeing, okay, she actually built up an association for female cinematographers in Brazil, or he was building up a cinema, and he's teaching in his own film school or training initiative he founded and something like this. And that was always a bit shied away from the application, because people tend to say, I better don't mention it because people think I'm not a good filmmaker if I have time to build up an association for film for cinematographers.
Yeah, it's such a...
But it's the opposite. For us, it's the opposite. We think, okay, she took time to build up a community for in that case, cinematographers, women cinematographers. That's great. So that is something we need. And this is why we invented the milestones. So it's everything in between your films is now in a particular part of your application. And it allows us to understand better what you are, what you're doing. And it also offers us opportunities, for example, with the MasterCard Enablement Program, to further support you in your efforts in the future. So in the moment, we have 3 fellows in the enablement program. One is in Pakistan. She's working on a documentary association there. Then there's one in Peru, and he's has built up an outreach program for indigenous filmmakers, and is going to schools now, and we support him with that. And the third one is a young woman from South Africa who is running a solar panel-driven cinema. So, and it's a fantastic Sunshine Cinema. You should check that out. It's just perfect. And so we're supporting those kind of alumni as well.
What kind of support you're talking about? What's the details?
The interesting thing with this fellowship is it comes with money. So you get MasterCard is sharing a part of a fellowship, which is directly given to you, so that you can use it to further develop your program. But the second half of that fellowship isn't decided until the point that you become a fellow. So because not everyone needs the same kind of mentorship. So one important part of it is to find out in a long workshop towards the beginning of the mentorship phase, what is it what you really need? And then normally people say in the beginning, yes, I need help with funding, and I need help with new ideas for my training initiatives, and I want to meet mentors and so on. And then after a while you realize, and what is what you really need? And then you find out, oh yeah, I actually don't have time to find mentors or money or something, because the structure of my organization isn't ready for that. So it's always me having to do all the work, which is often the case. So it's exploitation, self-exploitation. So probably it makes sense to stop for a moment with everything, sit down with a mentor very individually, and think about what is the structure of my project, so that it sustainably grows over the next years, so that it also can work without myself in future probably. So, or that it's built on more on a broader, let's say, fundament. And for this, this is like more like a coaching or something. So a mentorship which only goes for you personally, and we can build it up. but we also provided a nanny at some point. So, or we helped, let's say, practical stuff that is needed so that you can further work on your sustainable project.
I'm really excited, really. It's a really good idea.
Yeah, check it out. So it's for us, it's
I will definitely do it,
we are testing something, and we need the feedback. Also from all the applicants on what is needed. So because we don't want to make you more busy than you are already. So we don't want to invent new stuff. We want to make the projects that you are coming up with better. Because there's so many good projects in the world. So then the same goes for films, of course. So now I've been speaking about the side projects in a way of all of us, but there's also mentorship programs, particularly for film development. So because it's the same in the end. Sometimes you don't have time to write your script or to work on your thing because you have to build up your company or something. And you need that.
Yeah. So maybe we can try to go on with the questions again.
Yeah, that would be
there
cool.
is.
How do I see it?
Hey. I think we are alone.
Yeah. Also nice.
Hey, people. Okay, Ipe. I think you come.
Hi. So we didn't receive many questions, questions at all, but like there are participants listening. So I want to remind them that they can ask questions at the Q&A box if they have any. Maybe I can ask a question.
Yes.
You touched upon pretty good topics, and in general I think it was very effective in terms of knowing what is expected and how can what can I do to get there. But I wonder, at the beginning of your talk you were talking about when we look at a profile, when we look at an application, we really need that person to have a presence in some ways in this creative field. What are your suggestions in terms of how a person can create that creative persona for themselves?
You mean before applying to talents, or like in general, or how to present yourself in the best way?
Well, how to present yourself in best way if you want to join to such platform, or have a have a presence that can be accepted by authorities such as you.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to know is that, and it's not an excuse to not answer your question in a more precise way, but people on this side of the gate, and I don't like that word, but sometimes there is this gate, and so, but on this side of the gate, so the gatekeepers, the gate openers, or however you call them, so they read a lot of applications, but you should imagine that they don't tick boxes. So we don't tick boxes. We don't sit here and say, okay, we already know what this person is about. And until the moment she don't fulfill all the criteria we have, we won't go for her. It's the opposite. So the more diverse, the more contradictory in a way the application in some point is, the happier the application committee or the selection committee will be. Because there's always people, of course, they apply and they say, okay, I want to come to Berlin because I want to move my project forward and I want to meet people and so on. And we say, yes, that's a good idea. This is why you apply. But what's next? So what is the reason behind the whole thing? And then you find out, and if you read a little bit in between the lines of a very honest application, then you will find out, oh yeah, there's fears. There's some special talent, so something which is not so much a common case. So she's very good in working with children, or to just sum it up, or in stereoscopic cinematography or something, whatever it is. Or she has survived the film production with a very complicated director, or whatever it is. So something which makes her him a very special person, and you should write that down. So you should be honest in your application in the truest sense of that word. And the application consists of different elements. So, and if you have a sample of work here, and then here's the answers to your questions. And the sample of work is a horror film, let's say a piece from your latest genre film. And here you speak about romantic comedy and how much you love romantic comedy and so on. That's okay. That's very much okay. It might even make you a more special, or just the person you are. But you need to create the bridge. That's the only recommendation we can give. So because the committee doesn't know you, so they need to understand why there is romantic comedy here and genre film here, and then it's fine. So so we sometimes say, tell a good story about yourself. So tell something which consistently has a beginning and an end if you read that application, and also some, like in a very good story, some very exciting moments. So something like, oh, I've never read that story before, but it is interesting. So, and if that is the experience a committee makes with you in an application, all fine. And then the good thing is with us, at least, so since we are in love with coincidences and chances and creating chances and so on, we won't call you. We won't find out up until the very last point who you are. So we just want to find out whether it's the right moment and whether you have something to offer. So if that is something that is worth to have it here in Berlin. But then we say, okay, let's have her, and then the rest will happen in Berlin. So it's not a test in a way. It's an invitation, like in the true sense of the word.
So as I understand, there's not no such moment you experienced where you found out about someone, or like a project producer, director, cinematographer, and say they should be in the talents team, and like invite. It's not an invitation based.
No. Of course, it happens. So over the course of the years, whenever we meet in festivals, like in more lucky times, then of course we recommend people to apply and say, try it out. But it happens very often, I have to say, that people do apply and then they're not selected. So because it's a mathematic reason. So you can, if there's 3,000 applications and it's only 250 places, seats, for it means that we have to say no to quite a lot of very good people. And then they apply again and so on. And it sounds a bit weird, but a no in 1 year is for us the beginning of a relationship. So it doesn't mean, okay, no, never apply again. It means, no, not now. And then in another year, the situation will be totally different. And people do apply several times.
Yeah, and you have this perfect partnership with Sarajevo Film Festival.
Yeah.
Do you plan to increase that, how do you say it, partnership with other festivals, other regions, areas, or what are your future plans with Berlinale Talents?
First of all, we have to say, so Sarajevo is like one of our dearest partners from the very, very beginning, and it also goes to the entire festival. So I think Berlinale and Sarajevo Film Festival are kind of like sister festivals in many, many ways. Also the way, the history, the reason why these festivals have been founded. I wouldn't say they are similar, it's different worlds, but I think emotionally there is a very, very strong connection in between the festivals, and it also built a very strong fundament for the talents program in Sarajevo. With Sarajevo, I think in the meantime, the community of alumni has become so strong that, and so many of them are coming back to the festival every year with films or to the market or even to talents like Sinem. So that we can further develop that, so that we can start to diversify in a way that a group and say, okay, we don't consider them all as one, but we can say, okay, what is possible for the producers in that alumni group? What is possible for the actors on the Eastern European countries, and how can we help them to on the one side travel in between the countries, so what is happening more often, but also leaving in a way the region at some point to also further be visible or engaged in films in other countries outside of Southeastern Europe. So what we do in the moment is we don't develop so much new stuff, but we try to go dig deeper. So we're looking for the cinema makers in the moment. So those who are developing or working in cinema spaces and festivals and so on, because many of our alumni do that. And it's interesting for us to build a sub-network of those in the future. And so that we can become a bit more specific in a way in what we offer.
Well, thank you so much for all this clarification, and you gave so many valuable information that I'm sure people will get a lot of use of it. And I want to thank both you and Sinem for joining us in Bosphorus Film Lab today. And it was a great pleasure to have you here. Unfortunately, not physically, but hopefully we can make it happen next year. Thank you for joining us, sharing your insights and all of this great experience.
Yeah, thank you also from my side. Thank you very much. It was very nice to see an alumna back here as a moderator.
Yeah, it was very nice to see.
So the family is still alive. And also thank you very much to you. And I wish you all the best also with the remaining time of the festival and the film lab. So stay strong. So we need that.
Thank you so much, and hope to see you guys soon.
Okay. Yeah, danke schön.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Stay safe.
Thank you.